Hello, everyone. My name is Shelly Dressel. I channel the universal light beings and any other situations or experiences that may come up that are of interest, I think, to either myself or the group of you that listen to these. The 3I Atlas has been receiving a ton of coverage, if you want to call it that. And so I had an insight maybe about 2 days ago, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, about 2 days ago. I think I should channel them directly. And so since that time, I've been kind of reaching out, feeling their energies, trying to create an alignment so that I would be able to bring through a message, talking about it, what the mission is, different things like that. So I have created with someone that calls himself Peyandor. And so I'm going to see what Peyandor has to say to us. So I'll get quiet for a minute here. Oh, and I did want to say that as I was reaching out, it was kind of interesting because I felt this energy that was moving towards us. So many people reaching out to try to get more information. So I said, let me find what's of an alignment with me, vibrational alignment with me. And that way I would know who to connect with. So this may be something he also speaks about. Greetings. I am known for the sake of these channelings, because there will be more than just this one, as Peyandor. I come from a planet that is out in the far side of your universe. It is not one that is a name you would know about. It is actually quite a large planet, but mine is associated with doorways. So, for example, when someone were to go to my planet, it's because you want to go into another omniverse or another universe, or you want access to more than just this universe in which you live. There are always going to be filters that allow certain groups of people to go in and out of a various universe. Sometimes it has to do with protection. Sometimes it has to do with the vibration. Sometimes it has to do with that which is in alignment with the all that is. So many different things come into contact with this. So the reason that I am speaking with you is that I am one of the emissaries. There are many of us that are emissaries. And so you may hear somebody else talking and it may be a different name, a different vibration, a different frequency. And we have a very clear intention that we're here in support of the planet Earth and of this part of the universe. So as I said, because I come from a planet that's like a go-between, that was when I jumped on to become a part of this mission. Now then, missions are a good word. It kind of conveys to you that we are here for a purpose, that we are here. There's a distinct beginning, there's a distinct end to it, and that's what we're here for. You are going to hear a great deal of information about the 3I Atlas because people are going to be tapping into it and receiving different information. It is not that one is right and one is wrong. It's more so about what is most important for you to hear at this particular time. Sometimes there will be information that is given to people that is what that group of people need to hear at that time. For example, there are many that have been talking about the fact that the 3I is going to be coming in and hovering around the planet, that people will see it with their naked eye or with their instruments, and we will have ships coming directly onto the planet. This is somewhat true, but not 100% true. If you were to conceptualize a size for what this ship is, when you speak of the motherships, this is a mothership. There are many, many, many people that think a mothership is just a large ship that has, maybe a few hundred or 1,000 people on it. That is not a mothership. A mothership is something that moves through time, space, reality, that has many different levels. You would say could be the size of a mountain, so to speak. We have many different layers that go up inside the ship, and the ship itself is very long. It is not the cigar ship that you talk about. It is not a round ship that you talk about. It is instead, there are parts of it that are round. There are parts of it that look like exhaust, like the back, like the fins, you would say, on your old-fashioned cars. And I have been doing a big study of the Earth plane, so hopefully I will be able to give you references that will allow you to understand where we are coming from. But this being a mothership is called a mothership because it is much bigger than many of these other ships that will go in and out of this space. It can hold up to 100 or 150 of the big ships that you're talking about, those ones that other people may call a mothership that I do not call a mothership. And there are also many smaller, what some might term them fighter ships. They're not necessarily here to fight. They are here to protect if need be. And they're the smaller ships that go in and out that may have sometimes a single person on them, sometimes as many as 3 to 5. And sometimes they're androids. They do not have any people on them at all. And we send these ships out to get readings of the energy, to get readings of what's around us, so that we're very aware at all times what is in and around this ship as we are moving through time-space reality. If you talk to anybody on this ship, you're going to find out that everybody recognizes this is about the beginning of a brand new phase in the Earth plane. You will hear multiple people talking about going to the new Earth. And what they mean by the new Earth is it's the higher vibrational frequency Earth. It is the same mass that you are currently living upon, but the vibration and the frequency is rising. And so because of that, people will refer to it as the new Earth. It is the same Earth that is ascending. And this is one of the key components that people need to understand. Many times in the past, we're going to say over the past several hundred years, there were people that moved through the ascension process on Earth, and they were putting in you could call it like anchors, various anchors that were placed in the energy of your history, if you call it that, that allowed people to tap into, that were people that went through and they moved through the various frequencies of that time reality and left behind a marker that would allow for anyone to go back and find it and sync with it. And it's a way of literally lifting up your history or the energy of your history along with everything else as you move into this current or this new Earth reality. The ascended Earth reality is what I prefer to call it. What should we call that? AE, ascended Earth. So when you look at our ship, and it is going to become very, very evident to you in the not so different distant future, and people will get images that are going to look pretty similar when they describe them and when they talk about, what this part of the ship is for, this part of the ship is for. Humanity has this interesting way of always wanting to know details. And it's almost like the details fill in those spots that you are not yet accustomed to filling in with your intuition or with your own personal insight. So this ship will look different in different people's perspectives, because when you're looking at it from a different vibration, the perspective that people tap into will be different. Pretty much all of humanity has now gone beyond the phase of calling it a comet. It looked like a comet at first because it had density to it and it was moving through space, and the people that looked through the telescopes did not have another phrase or word to describe it. But now you'll find that just about everybody recognizes it's a ship. There have been some of the space programs for the different countries that you call on your planet that have been sent out to us. And these are different people that are trying to discern who we are, to connect with us, to communicate with us. And some of them have actually walked upon this ship, and others of them have simply stayed within their own vehicles and communicated with us through that. This also is one of the things that these ships that lead that will leave the mothership and go and connect to and communicate with, so as to create alignments. Now then, when you look at the people that are on this ship, most of us look mostly humanoid in that we have heads, torso, arms, legs. Now, some may have more arms and legs than what you have. Some may have a very elongated head. There are different species that are coming to be a part of this next ascension. And the reason that you have different species that are coming in is because when you go back prior to Lemuria, when they brought together the 12 species from around the universe that created your basic humanity, everyone from those 12 species are now coming through. And this is a conversation for another day. We can speak of that more fully and perhaps even set up a meeting with the Council of 12 just went through my mind. And that may be the different, and we're talking Pleiadians, Arcturans, Andromedans, those three you know immensely. But there are many others that were also a part of that. And so they're the ones that will come in at that point. You have already received the information for why we're coming. We are coming here to assist with the anchoring of the new energies. And what that means is that when I spoke earlier about how there were those time points in your history, you think in terms of linear, we think in terms of the spiral of time, but we will tap into those various time-space realities, and so as to create a consistency that is going to help to raise the vibration to a dramatic degree. Now, this is not anything for people to be concerned about. There is still widespread fear on your planet, and that fear is something that we are working with as we speak. We have many, many emissaries that are communicating directly with the people on Earth. There are many emissaries that are sprinkling the energy and sprinkling the area with vibration and light codes that will assist you to understand what is going on. And these light codes have been coming in during the various times in which you call your equinox, your solstice, the eclipses. There's so many different things when you look through your astrology that are also associated with us coming in at this time. And so you could make that correlation if you'd like. You can talk about them being solar flares. That's a true statement. But many of these light codes that are coming in are coming from our ships themselves, and we have people that may come out on our ships. And if you want to envision it in your mind, say, for example, there is a ship that is leaving this mothership, and within it, you might have 3 of those original 12, and each one of them are in a particular seat, and there's still the pilot, there's still the other people that are running the ship, and what they do is they leave that mothership. They might move through a portal because we're getting pretty close now, but we're still not close enough to just go directly there. But we go through a portal, and then what they do is they slowly move around the perimeter of the Earth. And these 3 that were part of the original species that created humanity will just sit quietly in their space in this ship, and each one of them sends out from the heart. Everything that is happening is coming through the heart. Everybody has a heart energy. Some have different body parts, as I spoke about a moment ago, but everyone has a consciousness that is moving through the heart. And so to give it consistency for you, or to give it a means of being able to understand it freely, we will call it the heart energy. So as this ship is moving around your planet, each one of them are sending out impulses of energy. Now then, Gaia herself, the heart, the soul of the earth plane, is very active and in communication with all of us. So Gaia herself receives these codes and then begins to integrate it and transmit it outward to humanity. That's one of the ways in which it is anchored in your planet. Another way that it is anchored is that these light codes are then going directly from, I'm speaking of one ship with 3. There's probably 4 that have all 12, because these individuals that are representing each of these species are a very important part of this whole process that is going on. And so these are staying somewhat separate from everybody else. They don't want to know what's going on. They don't want to be influenced by things that are happening upon the earth. They want to stay in the space of who they are and what they are bringing so that they can stay in that same consciousness. And then they each send out the impulses. And so as this is moving around the planet, it is going through the collective consciousness. It is integrating in with Gaia, as I said. There are some of these species that are more attuned to the water. So in some of these, it is connecting in with the species that live in the water. Some of it, it's going into the water. And then as the waves move around the different parts of your planet, we're talking lakes, rivers, oceans, not just the big oceans. We're talking everything that has water. As that water mass is moved back and forth in the way that it normally does, it is integrating the codes that are being sent down by those species that are associated. There's two in particular that are associated with water, and they're the ones that are integrating. Now then, as there are others that are moving through this process, there are some that are connecting with the what do you call them? I think you call them your woods, but that's not really it. It's all of nature. It's any place that you've got grass, trees, and an opening, what do you call that? A meadow. Anytime that you have a place where people can be out in nature and get away from the computers, get away from your telephones, get away from the different things, those are going to be very important places for integration. Right now, we're sending down energy that is picked up by the tops of the trees and then is filtered down through the trees. The trees that you have on this planet are truly magnificent beings. And through their root system, they can communicate with all the trees throughout the entire planet. And so we are going around the circumference of the planet and sending out the light codes that are specifically intended for the trees and then other parts of nature that you could say. Even your rocks have a particular, like all of those mountains that you have that are just rocks on the top, even those rocks are receiving and integrating information that is coming through from these beings. So we have been doing this for about 6 months now. What you call your spring or your fall equinox, depending on where you live, that was when we opened up the portal, or we opened up the door to let the 3i come in. So prior to this mission was decided upon. Of course, we have different time, space, reality than you, but this mission was confirmed that it was a go-ahead about a year ago, maybe around the winter solstice a year ago. And it has been setting up. We sent out the clarion call, if you want to call it that. We need people. We need this. We need XYZ. You know, there are many, many that came into play. So then we actually began this process, leaving from my planet and in what you call your equinox that took place in March. And we did go through a portal until we got within probably about halfway through your universe, maybe not quite halfway. And that's when we showed ourselves. So we were actually able to be seen much earlier than what you call July 1st. We were we were connected directly with the earth, probably from about June 1st on, the middle of May to June 1st. And that's when we began sending these impulses. So for those of you that are very sensitive to the energies, maybe think back to those times. And maybe that's when you began to notice that something's changing. Look at your Schumann resonance and see if there's a change that began at late May, early June. And since then, it's been recording these much higher frequencies that were coming in. even at that time, if we had met up against a wall, or if there had not been an ability to integrate, we would have aborted this mission, turned around, and we would not be doing what we're going to do. But needless to say, everybody is completely thrilled that we are able to do this mission, to complete this mission. So the 3-eye atlas, as we're known, is now much, much closer. Many people can see it through their microscopes. There will be a certain filter that people will find that will be able to filter out that which looks like the gases that are around it. And when that gets filtered out, people can see the ship itself much more easily. And when they do, there's going to be a lot of people speaking about, oh my goodness, it's way bigger than we ever thought it was, because the perception right now is that it's the size of a mothership. But then when they see these big, huge motherships going in and out of it, that will be another thing that gives it comparison, you could say, so that they can then recognize that this ship is actually quite huge. Okay, the closer that we get in, you have already heard about, we get faster, we get slower, we get faster. We are working with the central sun. The central sun is the center of all universes, and that is the central soul essence for everything that is alive, most particularly those that you are associated with. Now then, as we get closer to the Earth plane, we are not working only with the Earth. We are working with Venus, Mars, Earth, and you call it Tartaria. You think that it's a time in your civilization, but Tartaria is actually a separate planet. And so we're working with those 4, plus there are probably some other planets we would not have an exercise this size and go for only one planet, because if there was only one planet that was ready to ascend and did not have the anchoring planets around it also in that same place of ascension, then it would be very, very traumatic. It would be very hard, and it would not work smoothly. So you could say the galaxy, which then includes Saturn, Venus, all these other planets that you're aware of. Everything within this galaxy is ascending, just as this entire universe is ascending. So when we get closer, you may hear about speeding up, slowing down. We might go in this direction, and it's because we're working with that planet at that time. We might go in another direction, working with another planet at that time. And anytime that we make these maneuvers, we would say to you, just understand, all we're doing is continuing to send out the light codes, continuing to send out the vibration and the frequency, so that the closer that we come in, the more comfortable humanity will be. There will be a time when everybody will see this ship, everyone will understand exactly what it is. There is going to, of course, be those that will go into fear, because you've been trained to go into fear if you think about a ship that's coming in from the universe. When you look back in your history, your time-space history, you will recognize that whether it's us personally or others, you will recognize that we have been in and out of this Earth plane. It's many, many, many eons of time. Okay, so we're doing all of this now. We're making communication now. We're beginning to create anchors in different places around the planet, and you will hear more and more people speaking about this as the time comes nearer. You are calling this tomorrow, I believe you call it October, is a month in your calendar year. And if we're looking at this, I believe it's going to be towards the end of October, sometime in November, 100% before we get to your solstice in December. We will be going in and out, and you will be seeing the ships. And what I'm asking to do, when the commander reached out and said, hey, we need some emissaries to start working with these people, and I volunteered for that. So what I was asked to do is just send out the waves, send out the comforting awareness that this is all to support humanity. This is all to help the Earth move and anchor successfully in the higher vibrational frequency. You are so close. There are so many of you that are really holding down the space for everybody else. The biggest concern is for those that are still in fear, anxiety, that are in hatred of others, that are in service to self. This all has to be cleaned up to a very strong degree in order to allow for what we're going to do. So if your people on earth are not getting rid of those that were behind all of these shenanigans, as you call them, then that's going to slow down our time to come in. We are not going to abort this mission. It is going to happen. So the question is, how much pressure do we have to put on them to get their part done so that we can get our part done? My sense is that there is a lot that's going to happen in the next few weeks because there is so much that needs to be disclosed. And once all that is disclosed, then at that point, you will start hearing a lot more about us. You'll hear a lot more about us coming in. You'll hear a lot more about what we're going to do. When we are very, very close and when we truly start sending out the impulses, that is when those that have been deeply asleep will begin to awaken. Be not judgmental of those that you think are full of hate. Many of them are mind controlled. And once that mind control is broken, they can flip in an instant. Will it happen to all of them? Probably not, but there is a vast number that will change. So for those of you that are concerned about your friends, your family, your loved ones, my guess as I'm looking at this is that, okay, I just heard someone ask me, can you give us a percentage? My guess is that it's probably going to be only 1% or maybe less that is not going to make the transition. That doesn't mean there won't be some that are still going to struggle for several years to come. But those that are just adamantly refusing, that are holding on to that energy of negativity and will not crack, will not let it go for any way, shape, or reason, those are the ones that are part of that 1% worldwide that is probably not going to make it. So be proud of yourselves. Be happy and thrilled that you have done the fabulous job that you have done, because all of this could not happen unless you did the work you needed to do. So we thank you for all of that. We are going to be here and ever present with you. I am Peyandor, Peyandor of the Light Force Energy, and I thank you. Ansaluia. So that was very interesting. There were many, many, many downloads that were given to us as Peyandor was speaking. And I'm very excited to see that. I know that I'll be working with him more in the future. So I'm very excited to see how this all comes up. If you are interested in this, be sure to follow and share, and let's be in this all together, because love is the foundation. Everything is about love and the ascension. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.